What it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't love the content, you can still do those things because you could always help a brother out, and you know a brother would always help you out. Please make sure you hit the notification bell, click it to all so you don't miss any of our fantastical content. You want to make sure that you comment because I promise you I will reply. Ball is life. Lastly, hang on towards the end for some other suggested videos that we know you will love. We are going to begin Pod 7 talking about Carmelo Anthony and Kiyan Anthony. And the thing that we want to really highlight and keep in mind, these two, this is what we always wanted in basketball. Carmelo Anthony is the father. Kiyan Anthony is the son. I said that weird. This is the dad that we wanted. LeBron is the dad that they forced on us. Let's take it piece by piece and just kind of break this down. But the first thing I want to do before we go any further is I just want to listen to the excitement in Carmelo Anthony's voice talking about his son and his debut in college basketball.
Into the cues. Let's see the debut for Kiyan Anthony.
Let's get the free throws. Easy money. Get the free throws.
That gets the rhythm going.
He was very patient. Get there. Okay, I'll take the bump. Stay down. We work on that, though. We work on that.
We know you do.
Now we get this. Catching rip and go. One leg, he stopped me. I got that, too. All of this stuff we work on. You know what I mean? As you can see, I'm just a proud dad in the back.
You are. I love it.
Doing what we do. We enjoying the game, having some fun. And I can go to the rack, get to the left hand. I can switch hands if I want to. But most importantly for me, defense tonight.
Yeah.
He was picking up full court. He was, hey, now we can clap balls on him. Hey. You know what I'm saying? And we can move, and we move without the ball.
Back the glass like we at Rutgers.
And we move without the ball. Okay, well, let me see where we at. Throw it up top. Hey.
He had more assists than you in the college debut, though.
He did. I had one assist, 2 assists.
Okay.
Yeah, you was passing the basket. He was on a different mission.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, first and foremost, does this sound fake to you? Does any of this sound forced? Does any of this sound like, we're putting on Kiyan is not as good as Carmelo is talking. Melo's not as excited as he sounds. Does any of that sound fake? Does it sound drawn up? Does it sound like ChatGPT wrote it and he's just reading it off of a piece of paper? Nah, it doesn't sound like that. So I'm going to say it again, and you're going to hear me say it a couple of times throughout this rendition of this segment, this starting segment here. Carmelo Anthony is the dad we wanted. LeBron James is the dad they forced on us. As you can see, Carmelo Anthony has been training his son from the beginning of time. There are videos of him working with him. In fact, you're looking at one right now. Carmelo's been working with his son since day one. He's always been working with his son. And now his son debuts and has been playing out of his mind. Now, he's actually played a few games. I think he's averaging about 17 points per game. Wasn't even a starter at first. I think somebody else got hurt and then he came in for him. And he's been balling ever since. His son's got the mid-range. He plays off ball. Melo even mentioned defense. You know why that's important? Because Melo wasn't known to be a defender. Funny enough, though, I will say this. Melo said one time, yo, you ain't never seen nobody cook me. And I'm not going to lie. He right. I've never seen somebody just straight up stir-fry Melo. I haven't seen it. But, no, we wouldn't call you a great defender. We wouldn't say you cared about defense your whole career, Melo. I'm not going to do all that, even if I like you. But he is right. I never saw him got stir-fried. But he mentioned his son is playing defense. So to me, at least it sounds like he's saying, like, listen, one of the ways I messed up, I probably should have cared more about defense. But you don't hear any of Carmelo. You don't hear Carmelo saying anything like, yo, my son needs to start, because he wasn't starting. I didn't hear nothing about that. I've never heard anything about Melo telling his son he needed to start anywhere. Melo never forced anything on his son. He never forced him to play basketball. He doesn't force other people to believe that his son is good. He never forced his son to go to his alma mater, alma mater, at Syracuse. I remember specifically hearing him talk about it, and he said his journey is his journey. I will not be forcing him to do anything. I will just be the proud father in the background giving guidance. But it's his journey. He has to be his own man. He has to grow his own teeth. That's one of my favorite phrases that I use all the time. You have to grow your own teeth. Nobody can grow your teeth for you. I don't know if you guys realize that. Nobody can take care of your teeth for you. When they're gone, they're gone. They don't come back. You might have to get fake ones. These are things you have to do. Carmelo Anthony understands that. Kiyan got the message. He gets it. Now, how do we know that? Let's listen to what he had to say after one of his games.
Just confidence. I mean, I know the work I put in. I know mid-range is kind of the lost art, but my dad always preached to me, mid-range is the easiest way to score. So I try to get in there today, use my body, and the mid-range shot fell, and I work on that every day. So even if I missed it, I wouldn't consider it a bad shot. Credit to my dad, of course. That was his shot. He passed it down on to me. We work on that almost every day in the gym. I work on that in practice. So I shot that I felt confident it was going in.
Does that sound like somebody to you that's not putting the work in? This kid already sounds like a 10-year veteran in the NBA. I put the work in. I work it all the time. I know how to control my body. I'm confident in that shot. Even if I miss it, I know it's a good shot. I know I can make the next one. He's playing fearless. He's playing with a swag. And it looks like it. Bro, I watched him play, and it's just like, it's easy. There's nothing forced about this. His feel for the game, he can just play. How good he'll be, I don't 100% know. I think he needs to get bigger. He's still kind of built like a kid to me. But it don't matter. He's still scoring easy. Now listen, there's always some level of nepotism involved with these things, right? Kobe Bryant, his father played in the league. Can I sit up here and say it didn't help? Nah. Steph Curry's dad plays in the league. Can we sit up here and say that didn't help? Nah. Can't say that. There's definitely some level of nepotism that probably helped. That definitely helped. There's other people's fathers who played in the NBA, who played in the NFL, who played baseball, whatever. Ken Griffey Jr.'s dad played baseball. Barry Bonds' father played baseball. Professional baseball. However, there's something different about them, Kiyan, and LeBron and Bronny James. Now, I don't want to bash Bronny James. I don't want to overly bash Bronny because I don't think Bronny is a bad guy. I'm a Laker fan, and I have absolutely no need for him on my team whatsoever. I'd cut him today if I could. And believe me, some of you, but that's messed up. You just said you don't. I don't hate Bronny. I think he's a nice kid. He seems like a nice young man. But he don't deserve to be playing no basketball in the Los Angeles Lakers. Not on Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, James Worthy, Byron Scott's L.A. Lakers, Derek Fisher's L.A. Lakers, Pau Gasol's L.A. Lakers. He can go be an executive somewhere and make 30, 40 million a year doing something else with his dad. Easy. This isn't a rec league. Again, is nepotism horrible? I don't love it, but there's not a place in the world where it's not used. Not at all. And that's just the facts of it. But does it need to look like that? Nah. Carmelo Anthony is the dad we wanted. His relationship with Kiyan Anthony to basketball is the relationship, the natural relationship we wanted to see. That's who Ken Griffey Jr. and his father, Ken Griffey Sr. or whatever it is, or Ken Griffey, These are the two they need to be taking the pictures with. This is natural. That would be natural. LeBron James and Bronny James is not it. That was forced on us. Listen to the fans of both of them. Oh, Bronny is dead. Give Bronny time, blah, blah. We don't need Kiyan Anthony to have no time. The time for Kiyan Anthony is now. Time don't wait for no man. It's now. This is sports. Right? This is sports. We don't play these type of games. Let me tell you one more thing. I'm going to leave with this. We'll continue to talk about this in other ways, but I'm going to leave with this one. Look at this graphic right here. All right? This graphic says, no bias, shiitake mushrooms. I think he really put the work in and really deserved to be a McDonald's All-American. I'm speaking for all the kids. What is the criteria in this? This is the most Carmelo Anthony has ever said about his son not getting something he thought he deserved. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Kiyan was the number one ranked, or at least the top 3 not ranked kids in New York City, one of the meccas of basketball. And he was not a McDonald's All-American. So Melo asked this question. But did he try to force his son into anything? Did he make any phone calls to get his son anywhere? Nah. They both specifically said, we thought we were good enough, but we're just going to keep working. What good is it to a young man if you make everything easy in his life? If you never challenge him? If you never help him to be the best that he can be, but he's got to grow his own teeth? Kiyan Anthony can't live off the coattails of Carmelo Anthony in a sport, on a basketball court. Oh, you're daddy's boy. Oh, your dad was in the league. Oh, you're not really good. Your daddy helped you get there. Bronny James is going to be dealing with that for the rest of his life. That boy is going to be hard pressed to live a life where people don't point at his daddy. And his daddy didn't care. He wanted it his way. He wanted what he wanted. I want to play with my son by any means necessary. Even if my son is not ready. I'm not saying Bronny would never be good. I'm not saying he'll never be good. But was this how it's supposed to be? And for those of you who say, oh, well, Bron, why are you bringing Bronny and Bron into this? Just praise Carmelo and Kiyan. Listen, man. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And those Karens that y'all hate so much, some of those more principled people, and I'm not saying every Karen is good, believe me. I'm not saying that. But a Karen is the type of person that keeps your neighborhood free of crime. A Karen is the type of person that goes to the school board and says, oh, we don't want this in the school, we don't want that in the school. The Karen is the one that goes to school, oh, we need better lunches. The kids are not eating right. The Karen is the one that goes to school, we need more field trips. The Karen is the one that says, and I hate this one, because I like to drive fast. Oh, people have been speeding down the street. Maybe we should, have somebody look at it. Kids are around here. As annoying as that sounds, somebody's got to be a Karen. Karens kind of help. And you know what? Maybe I'm going to be a little bit of a Karen on this. Because I don't ever want to see what LeBron James and Bronny James did ever again, if I can help it. I care about the game of basketball too much. But what I also think is important, not just in basketball, but in life, when somebody does something the right way, that's who needs to be put on the pedestal. Carmelo Anthony and Kiyan Anthony are doing this the right way. All they ever talk about is work. They don't talk about, all that other stuff. They're not lying to you. They're not telling you, oh, he's a 55th pick. Why do you worry about the 55th pick? There's no gaslighting. They're not being quiet about it now because they realize it hasn't worked the way they want it to. You don't hear LeBron talking about his son and, Bronny's doing this, Bronny's doing that. You don't hear Bronny talking to the media. They started him the other day for no reason whatsoever. Did nothing. And why? Just because he's LeBron James' son? So, if I need to be a Karen on this, I'm going to be a Karen. Carmelo Anthony, I've always felt like never gets the credit that he deserves. I've always felt like even if you don't love everything about him, he's handled himself in a very good way, specifically based on what he came from. And I'm not a hood life advocate. I'm not a streets advocate. I'm not saying that he is, but that's where he's from. And look what he made of himself. And I personally appreciate the way Carmelo handles himself because he didn't forget where he came from, but he knows how to move in every situation. He knows how to carry himself. And I don't know if he grew up with his dad. As far as I know, he didn't. And if you really want to get personal into some things about his life, maybe he could have done a few things better, even in his, relationship with Kiyan's mom. No disrespect, Mel. But as far as being a dad, a famous father, in a sport, trying to give your son a piece of what you had, you make him work for that. Everything is earned, nothing is given. So I'm going to say this one last time and we'll move on to the next segment. Carmelo Anthony is the dad we wanted. LeBron James is the dad they forced on us. Kiyan Anthony is a rising star that has put the work in. And Bronny James, even though I don't think you're a bad guy, your father, in my opinion, has not set you up for success. And you will be hard-pressed to find your own life and your own success without him because of the way that, at least to the public, from what I see, your situation has been handled. And that just is what it is. And if you don't like real, then you're not going to like this channel. But if you do like real, I'm telling y'all, I'm going to keep it real. And that's no shade to anybody. I don't want nothing bad to happen to LeBron. I don't want nothing bad to happen to Bronny. I root for Bronny in life. Just not really in basketball. I don't think he deserves to be there. That doesn't mean that he's still not going to make $10 million a year doing something. He's going to be fine. But I don't believe that you should be given anything. I don't care who you are. Everybody should have to work. And is LeBron special in that way? Is he the only person employing this level of nepotism? Nah. He's not. But in sports, I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen it. So to that extent, he's doing something nobody else is doing. And I don't like it. So, whatever. We're going to end that segment right there. We're going to move on to the next segment. That was actually a little longer than I expected. But I had to land that plane, man. I had to land that plane. So, next topic. Myles Garrett is one of the greatest defensive players that I've seen in my lifetime. I have been watching football for about 20-something years at this point. Only thing I've been watching more than that on TV is basketball, probably. Because basketball was the first thing I really loved. And then football I grew to love after that. Myles Garrett's one of the best I've ever seen. I mean, basically the way he's built is insane. Pause, no diddy. Muscles everywhere, 6'5", super quick, can dunk with ease. I've seen him in all-star celebrity type games. I mean, the guy's a freak of nature. He's one of the freaks. In football, that's crazy because there's so many freaks of nature, but he's a freak of nature. And he's frustrated right now. But the thing you have to realize is this past offseason, he had an opportunity to take his talent somewhere else. He decided against it. Now, seemingly, he'd probably tell you, well, I wanted to do something good for the Browns. The Browns are a dumpster fire of an organization. And I want to be there to turn it around. Sounds great. But the truth of it also is he got a lot of money. They paid him a lot of money to stay there. Ain't nothing else on the Browns. Now, they picked up, they traded away Flacco at the beginning of the year and gave him to an enemy in their own division, which I think was stupid. But the Bengals haven't really won many more games. So to that extent, even though Flacco's numbers have looked good, they haven't won. So I guess the Browns didn't get murked off that way, at least not for them. They did beat the Steelers one time, though, and Mike Tomlin was like, why would you do this? Which makes sense because they're all in the same division. But Dylan Gabriel has not been good. They finally played Shedeur the other day, and he looked horrible. So it's not going to get any better. But does Myles Garrett have the right to be frustrated? I'm not going to answer that, but I know who will. Jared Allen, another really great defensive player for many years. I remember him specifically on the Vikings. Great defensive end, a sack leader every year. Let's listen to what he had to say about this situation.
Dude, you had your chance and you chose the money. Like, you knew what you were getting into. When they paid you 120 some odd million to stay in Cleveland, you knew this is what you were getting. And I love Stefanski, but Cleveland is Cleveland because, again, they've got to fix it up front. They got to figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback position. But yeah, I mean, now if I'm Cleveland, I'm trading Myles Garrett, trading his contract. I'm getting as many picks as I possibly can. I'm letting that guy go try to win somewhere. And I'm going to try to rebuild my organization because the reality is they're so far away from a championship that, he'll have a gold jacket before they even sniff that.
I do think because he stayed there, picked the money, he's still allowed to be mad like that. Like, right? Like, I don't think he's like...
100%.
I don't think he's like, I regret it with the decision he made. Or do you think we're
100% he regrets it.
You think so he regrets it now?
100%. He would have gotten paid anywhere.
You think right now, so should he go and try to get traded? He's not doing that.
No, because he's a good dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything you hear about him, you hear great things about him, right? And you think he's a loyal, he's a passionate, he wants to win. So the frustration is that he's doing literally everything he can do. He's playing at a level that nobody else has played for at that franchise, and very few people have ever played at in this league. And that's not good enough for them to win.
And so that's Jared Allen actually speaking on the situation with Myles Garrett. And I just want to point out, he did mention that Myles Garrett is a good dude, so he's probably not going to be out there running around, going crazy, screaming for a trade. He knows the decision that he made, but you just have to keep it real and be honest with him, And one thing, I'm going to point this out too, and I'm going to keep it real. No disrespect to women in general, but I've noticed that women tend to, if you give them a way out of a tough situation, even if they made the choice, they're kind of looking to escape it. As men, you really, and I see this a lot in the NBA, and I absolutely hate it, but when you make a choice, for the most part, stick with it, man. Now, you can want to change and get out of it, but if the other party is not invested and willing to make changes, you got to live in that as a man. You have to live with your decisions, your choices. It's got to be what it is. Now, with that said, I'm not saying Myles Garrett shouldn't go to them and be like, listen, I tried my best here. Things aren't working. Is there any way you guys could trade me to a position where I'd have a better chance to really win something? I've been a good Samaritan. I tried this year, but you guys need pieces. You could trade me. You can get a lot. I'm not saying he shouldn't say that. It is a business at the end of the day. And it may be in the Browns' best interest to be smart and get as much as they can get for Myles Garrett. Because for Myles Garrett, you might be able to get 5 first-round picks. He's that good. All right? Elite, uber elite. Whatever team he goes to, if their defense is even decent, they're about to be unbelievable. I've seen teams guard him with 3 people. 3. Are you kidding me? 3. And he still got a sack. That's crazy. So, to that extent, work it out like a man, and you're fine. So I don't have a problem with that. And like Jared Allen said, he's a good dude. So, hopefully things will work out for him. But let's not overly cry because he took the money. And I think he's making like $60 million a year, something crazy, man. In fact, let's look it up. How much money does Myles Garrett make per year?
Myles Garrett.
$40 million a year. So, I mean, he ain't hurting in the pockets. But, if he has pride, which it seems like he does, it seems like he puts a lot into what he's doing. They're terrible. They drafted Gabriel. He's bad. Shedeur Sanders played bad. We don't know what Shedeur is going to be, but it ain't going to be anything this year, I don't think. So It's gonna be some work. It's gonna be work, an uphill battle, and I don't see the point of him being there for all that. So we'll see. We'll monitor the situation. But in closing, as you're looking at this last image here, this man's sitting all the way on the other side of the bench, and he's basically like, y'all ninjas suck. It's just me. Is it just me? Is it just me? Forget which Drake song that comes from, but it's just me. The rest of y'all suck. And that's the Browns, and they'll always suck. So we're going to leave that story there. We're going to leave that one right there. There's nothing else to talk about with that one. And we're going to move on to our next topic. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Luka Dončić. Which is the better basketball player? Now, this isn't some easy question to just figure out in 2 seconds. I mean, by my estimation, I have them in the top. I'd say they're top 5 basketball players. I think SGA is the best basketball player in the league right now. I believe that. And I can go into reasons why, but this video isn't necessarily just about that. We're trying to determine who's better between Luka and SGA. Now, I'm not going to say this is a runaway train either. But before I give my actual opinion, I want to jump into what the guys on Gil's Arena have said. And we're going to listen to, in this episode, I think it's Rashad McCants, my guy, Gilberto Arenas, Brandon Jennings, and Swaggy P. Nick Young, the swaggiest of the swag. Nick Young's also my guy for life, man. Love Nick Young. So we're going to listen to what those guys have to say. I think they're the number one basketball podcast out right now. So, yeah, we got to listen to what they have to say. And then I'll come back, add to that, and give my thoughts on it. Let's check it out.
Both their careers stop right now. Luka will probably be in front of Shai.
For what reason?
Last year helped Shai catch up, but you're talking about the same age. One is a 5-time All-NBA first team.
MVP champion.
I know what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying. He did all that to catch up. That's how far behind he was. Shai is a 3-time All-NBA. One has been the number 1 player in his position 5 straight years.
Shai's in his 8th.
Luka's in his 8th as well.
Always factor in how do we start? Yeah. Did they throw Luka the ball right away?
Gave him everything.
What did they do to Shai?
But Luka came in as a EuroLeague
Paul
MVP.
George and everybody on that team, Kawhi.
One is a 5-time, 5 years straight. That means from his rookie season, right? He was first team. One is a 3-time All-NBA.
So who's
right? One has an MVP. When you're gauging the MVP, they're right there now. But Shai needed all of that to catch where Luka is at the same age. Do you value 1 year or do you value your whole career?
You're going to use Shai's year last year against him? But last year you're saying that pushed him equal to Luka, but you have to use last year as MVP, all these things that Luka don't got.
Right.
Yes. So he's still equal here above because he has hardware.
I'm gonna go SGA's above.
Thank you. I'm about to say.
I'm saying. And also he averaged 30 the last 2 years, so it wasn't like he just got it this year.
Right.
Like he's been and he was supposed to get it last year. So I'm just
first
saying
team
that
All NBA select
right now, that last year though did it for him.
Who do you want? You're asking a question. Who do you want?
Don't press him like that.
Who do you have number 1?
Who do I have number 1? Or who should be number 1? Shai should be number 1.
All right. So they started off by saying that Luka Dončić is a 5-time All-NBA player. Very impressive. I believe Luka Dončić has the second highest point per game average ever in the playoffs behind Michael Jordan or something like that. Like he's the boy is nice. You can't take nothing away from him. But then they also mentioned that SGA has been now an MVP of the league. He was an MVP of the finals. He has a championship, obviously. Then they said, well, Luka's been number 1 at his position for a long time. I think that's somewhat subjective. If you're saying he plays point guard, so does SGA. So that's subjective in my opinion. And then another thing that Rashad McCants pointed out, and this is why this is my guy, he said Luka was given the ball right away. And I just want to touch on that for 2 seconds. Luka was given the ball right away. You understand? Right away. They gave him the ball immediately. So did Michael Jordan. So did Allen Iverson. Tim Duncan was allowed to start right away. There's guys in history that have been allowed to play basketball immediately. Magic Johnson was allowed to play immediately. So when you give people the ball immediately and let them just kind of do what they do, and you realize we're just going to rock with them no matter what, statistically, they're going to look better and they're going to get better faster. They're going to have more playing time. SGA was not given the ball right away. Nobody knew who SGA really even was. I remember him on the Clippers a little bit and thought to myself, nothing special, but interesting. He has some little moves. He's quiet. He didn't talk a lot. So Luka has the advantage definitely there. Then he went to OKC. He was with Chris Paul. Chris Paul was still technically the star. They were supposed to be a horrible team. They weren't that good. But Chris Paul, even at the time, because I believe they were on the Clippers together, they both got traded for Paul George. And Chris Paul was even like, yo, I think this kid's going to be a star. And to be honest, I was interested at that point, and I started watching him, but I still wasn't sure he was going to be a star. So to that extent, yeah, Luka was given the ball right away. He was ready to do it. Now, Gil said, oh, well, all that stuff he just did last year, the MVP and then the MVP of the finals and the chip, he had to catch up to Luka. So how are you going to be better than somebody he had to catch up to? And then Rashad said, yeah, but now Luka don't have what SGA has, what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has. He does not have what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has. He doesn't have an MVP. He doesn't have a finals MVP. He doesn't have a championship. And then so Brandon finished it off by saying, look, you can't just say SGA just got good. He's been averaging 30 for a few years now. Like, he's been balling. Last year, SGA's team had the best record in the league, I think, or second best. The year before that, I think they had the second best record in the league. And then last year, I think they did end up having the best record. And so far this year, the Lakers are playing pretty good. And the Lakers have a really good record. But I think OKC is like 13-1 without Jalen Williams, who's their second best player, who was an all-star last year. So when you add all these things together, I personally am going to go with Rashad McCants and Brandon Jennings. Also, you heard Swaggy P at the end say, listen, it's got to be SGA. And I'm going with SGA. I'm a rock with SGA. I think he's the best player in the NBA. And that's not easy. You got Joker doing incredible things. You got Giannis doing incredible things. You got Luka doing incredible things. Jason Tatum is out right now, but I'd probably say he's probably the fifth best player in the league. Those four, SGA, Joker, Giannis, Luka, are the top four best players in the league, in my opinion. Unless I'm missing somebody, but I think it's them. And Tatum, when Tatum is playing, but Tatum's not playing right now. So, but for me, I'm going SGA for the reasons that they said. MVP of the league, even though I don't take that too seriously. But if we're talking hardware and you want to add in all NBAs for Luka, then I'm going to throw in an MVP for SGA. That is something, you know. Even though I think that award is trash, and it's just, when people can pick it, it becomes popularity. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm tired of Joker, so I'm going to give it to SGA type stuff. And that whoever deserves it, in my opinion. That's another topic for another video. But he has that. He has the championship. He has the league MVP. His team has had the best record for a few years in a row. Yes, Luka makes people better as far as Luka getting a lot of assists, and maybe that helps players like DeAndre Ayton is balling with Luka. I'm not going to lie. DeAndre Ayton was a lost cause, even though he was a number one draft pick. But Luka got him balling. And that means something, but I still think that with Luka's play style, makes it so that you know what he's going to do, and it's coming directly from him. And that limits how many other people could touch the ball. The way SGA plays, everybody gets to touch it. Everybody on OKC gets better every year. What really is dangerous about his team is, yes, he gets better, but they get better. They're 13-1, once again, without Jalen Williams. There's a guy named Mitchell on their team who is a monster, and I saw it coming last year. I was like, who is this guy? And I forget his first name. Starts with a K, I think. But his last name is definitely Mitchell. And he was I thought he was a monster in training last year. This year, he's turned into a monster. He's averaging like 15 to 17 points per game, something like that. They still got Chet. Chet gets a little bit better every year, too. And I think all of that comes from SGA. What's not talked about with SGA, we're talking about MVPs and all this other stuff. His leadership, man. There's a clip, and on my channel, and I'll link it. I need to link it. When I make this a clip, this little section, I'm going to link it, where he said before they were good in like 2023 or something like that, 2022, he was like, yeah, we're not that good right now, but things are going to change, and we're going to be really good. That guy's got some cojones. He's got some stones on him to say that. He said, I'm going to be one of the best. We're going to be one of the best teams. We're going to be a champion. The only people that be talking like that is on another. That's Kobe talk. That's Kobe talk right there. You don't hear people talking like that. So, to me, I'm going to take SGA. I think he makes his teammates better. He inspires his team. He's a great leader. On and off the court, he handles his business, takes care of himself, comes back better, hungrier, doesn't really complain, just goes out and plays. And I got to love that. I personally am going to take SGA. If you take Luka, I'm not mad at you. If you think Joker's the best player in the league, I'm not mad at you. I think that they're all up there and they're all competing at a high level. And they do it differently. But to me, I like the way SGA does it. That's just how I like it. You know? So, I'm going to say SGA. What do you think? Who do you think is better? You think Luka's better? You think SGA is better? If you do, why? Hit up the comment section. That's what it's for. I will reply. Spark the debate. Okay. Now, another thing that's been a big issue in the NFL recently has been the TUSH push. And a lot of people are complaining about it. They always have something to say. But here's the funny part. Everybody this year has been trying to use it. And they just haven't really been that successful. The Patriots used to use it. They were very successful with doing it with Tom Brady because they had a really good offensive line. Jason Kelce, as you can see in this graphic, look at what he had to say. I watched the Bills do it. It's like celebrated. Everybody's like happy about it. I don't see one freaking person talking about the problem with officiating it. And yeah, he's right. So everybody in the league, for whatever reason, has an issue with the Eagles doing it, but then they're doing it. Huh? But you know, one person that's not being a hypocrite, and he's not on the Eagles, and we know Jason Kelce is an Eagle great, and it probably is one of the people to help master the tush push. It's Dan Campbell. And the Eagles actually just played the Detroit Lions yesterday. And it was a hard-fought battle. We beat them 16-9. It's a tough game. But, you know, they gave us a run for our money. You got to shout out to them, give them their respect. But I always like Dan Campbell. And one of the reasons I like Dan Campbell is because he's not a crybaby. He's an old-school football guy, balls to the wall, leave it all on the line, no excuses, we're not crying, high testosterone. Let's get it. Let's listen to what he had to say when he was asked about the tush push. And tell me if you hear any fairy dust in his voice.
Any problems with it this year? Has that caused you anything?
I mean, I don't know. Well, here's why. I'm a purist, man. You take something else out of the game, then we're taking the next thing out of the game. Then you're taking another thing out of the game. Then pretty soon we don't have pads anymore. And then pretty soon you're only playing 30 minutes. And then pretty soon it's, you know, so that's why I don't want to take it out of the game. You know, it's something, a team's got a niche. They found something, they're good at it, and it's for everybody else to stop. And it's unique. And it's physical, and more than anything, I just don't want to take anything else out of the game. You know, I just want to leave the game alone.
Amen, brother. Thank goodness there's still some men out there that want to compete and actually have some stones, some cajones, and aren't crying about every daggone thing. Let me just point out a few things that Dan Campbell said that I love. And I got to say, this is why Dan Campbell is a great coach. We beat them, and as a Philadelphia Eagles to Detroit Lions fans, as a Philadelphia Eagle fan myself, I just want you to know we beat y'all again. So, you know, we're the kings of the NFC. You still got to beat us. But I will tell you, I respect you guys, and I respect your coach. And that's why you guys are a lot better than you have been for most of my lifetime right now under the head watch of Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is a real man. He's a man's man. When you think of them Chunky Soup commercials, how come Dan Campbell doesn't have a Chunky Soup commercial? Get that man a Chunky Soup commercial with his mom in the background. He's the type of man that the NFL needs widespread. He's not complaining. He's not making excuses. He went over to Detroit. He made y'all something, and he didn't play these games that everybody else was playing. He said, I'm a football purist. I don't want to take anything out of the game, because then you take one thing out the game, then you take another. Pretty soon you're not even practicing with pads. You're not doing anything with pads no more. He said the Eagles found a niche. They're good at it. It's physical. It's for everyone else to step it up and figure out how to stop it. That's all that needs to be said. All the crying, all the complaining. The Packers were a big one. We beat them again. They can't beat us. We beat them last week. And their coach is one of the main people. And then they tried to use it. Not against us, I don't think. I don't think they tried to use it against us. Or maybe they did. But you can't complain and then use our play. I thought you said it wasn't football. You wanted to get it out so badly. Pause. Like, come on, man. But I heard this, and I wanted to say, you know what? Obviously, Jason Kelce's going to be for it. But I want to just give Dan Campbell some credit for being a real man about this. Everybody else is crying all the time. They stopped us like twice yesterday. We beat them, but they stopped us like twice. One was a big fourth down play, and they stopped us. Now, the Eagles have been having some problems with the offensive line. Landon Johnson, who's an all-pro, all-time player, he got hurt. So he had to leave. Lane Johnson. And then I think Juergens had to step out, and Dickerson hasn't really played. I don't think he's been healthy. So they had a little bit of an advantage there, but they still stopped it. I didn't hear no complaining. You didn't hear us complain, oh, our offensive lineman, that's why we didn't get it. Nobody cares. You run the play, it needs to work. You know, so shout out to Dan Campbell, man. Real men, where the real men at? Stand up. Real men need to stand up, man, because this stuff is just disgusting. It's just disgusting. Moving on to another topic is Carmelo Anthony. We're going back to him. And this time he's discussing part of his relationship with Phil Jackson. It's very detailed. I think Phil Jackson recently wrote Carmelo in his book, and so Carmelo discussed it on his podcast, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. One of my favorite podcasts. Me and a lot of my boys have been on this podcast recently. I mean, Melo's just got his own style, man, and he seems like a dude you just want to be around and hang out with because he's cool. You know, his swag is high. Just seems like a cool dude to hang out with and talk about life and sports and whatever else the case may be. But he's going to talk about Phil Jackson in this case, and we'll see what he has to say.
I fought for the team. I fought for everybody on my team. Everybody. No teammate can tell you I've never fought for him. Yo, let's just give it a try. Come on. Shit, we don't want to run shit anyway, but let's buy in. Let's see if it happens. If we buy in, let's see what happens. Win 30 games. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm the bad guy.
That's crazy. He's still trying to sell books off that.
Come on, man.
That's actually
that's
like,
I was sat in your office when you know, with candles lit. Yeah. We done had real Zen conversations. You know, we had Zen moments. Like, now you want to talk some dumb. And this is why. This is why. Yeah. This younger generation don't respect the former guys in other generations. Right? That's why this is a disconnect. Just do what you do, Phil. You know, you know what happened, you should have came out there and coached.
That's Carmelo Anthony talking about Phil Jackson. Now, Phil Jackson recently, I don't know if this is a new book or if it's an old book and they're just talking about it, but he wrote a section in the book with Carmelo Anthony talking about how he didn't buy into the triangle or whatever, and that's, they didn't really care about winning or some stuff like that. Carmelo always gets shade from his coaches. Maybe some of it is true. I mean, I don't really know. But Carmelo has a point here. He's like, a lot of teams don't want to run the triangle. Only Kobe and Michael Jordan and them actually wanted to run it. And Shaq and Pippen, it seems like a lot of other people didn't want to run it. Now, at that time, Carmelo Anthony was a star. I don't know if that's when they had Derek Fisher as the coach. They brought in some other people to help run the triangle, and Phil Jackson at the time was the GM. He was a horrible GM. I think he was a GM. And he was horrible. The Knicks were terrible. And like Melo said, they tried to run a triangle. They won freaking 30 games one year. It was terrible. And Melo said, look, I try to be the spokesperson for my teammates. And that is certified and verified. He's not lying about that. Iman Shumpert has a whole clip that's fire where he's saying, yo, nobody took bullets like Melo did. Melo would take all the bullets for everybody because he could. Because he knew he was a great player, and he knew that, he could handle it, and it wouldn't destroy him like it would destroy some of us. And, that's one of the reasons that I respect Carmelo, and so does Shumpert. But, he said, look, we tried to tell him, let's buy in. They won 30 games. And then Phil sitting up there, he said he's doing candles and practicing Zen, whatever Phil likes to do. And he said, you should have came down and coached the team. And there was more to that clip. And he's basically saying, instead of sitting up there doing all that candle worship with your Zen and your incense, you should have came down and coached the team into the triangle and been the Phil Jackson. That's one of the greatest coaches, in my opinion, the greatest coach of all time. And Melo's right. And he said that's why young players sometimes, don't like the new generation, because you'll sit up here and write stuff about us and they don't feel like you had their best interests at hand. And nowadays, when these kids don't feel like you have their best interests at hand, they don't know how to be politically correct at all. And I'm not saying you should be politically correct, but they don't even know how to be cordial or respectful or care that you're older than them. I'm not screaming. I don't care what one of my mom's friends does to me or something. I'm not screaming at my mom's friend. You're not. We're not cussing out grandparents over here. But this new generation, these young ninjas, these YNs, they don't care. They're crazy. They'll cuss out your grandmother, and these, and I'm not even talking about the streets. I'm talking about go to a nice neighborhood with even with some white people in it. Yeah, Mom, I hate you. I hope you freaking die. They're crazy. These young kids, they don't have no couth, and that's what Melo's kind of saying too. If you really cared, you should have got off your pedestal and came down and coached us. At that time, he was an 11-time champion. So I think Melo's right. Come on, Phil. Writing about it later is nasty work. It's nasty. It's nasty. And the thing that I will say, to me, right, without a doubt, Phil Jackson is one of the best coaches of all time, and it's not close. In my opinion, he's the best. He taught Kobe Bryant, he taught Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, all these great players. But with the Knicks job, it does kind of seem like he didn't care no more, man. Unfortunately, it seems like Phil was like, whatever, man. And he didn't give it all he could, He didn't care. So to that extent, I think Melo's right. And I think Phil should have got off the high horse and came down there and really coached those guys up. I still think Phil's great. Phil brought my Lakers 5 championships, changed my life as a kid. But we all have shortcomings, and I think Phil, with this case, screwed up terribly on the Knicks. And it's not and the other thing to keep in mind is other people have done what Melo just said. How do we know? Well, Pat Riley did that. Pat Riley was sitting up there on his high horse, with Shaq and Dwayne Wade, Stan Van Gundy was the coach, and it was falling apart. Nothing was going right. So he said, you know what? You get out the way. I'm going to coach this team. And they won a championship. So, hey, Phil, you want to write a book about Carmelo and the team and not running the triangle and this not working out in New York, that not working out in New York? Hey, man. Why not just get off your high horse, go down there, and take care of it yourself? That's a thought. Just a thought. So let's move on to our next topic. One of the things that the great Kobe Bryant is always accused of that drives me nuts and I think is really stupid is that he's not a really good passer. That is false. Kobe Bryant was a really good passer. The question is whether or not Kobe Bryant felt like passing it to you, or if he thought it was necessary in that moment to pass the ball. When he cared about passing, his vision was actually fairly elite. He's got some pretty dope, very athletic, highlight type passes that never, ever, ever get brought up. But if you look at them, they're dope. One of my favorite Kobe Bryant plays of all time. Also, one of the most used playoff moments of all time, as far as used as they're constantly playing it all the time, every year during the playoffs. It's Kobe Bryant to Shaquille O'Neal. The lob to Shaq, right? Game 7 against the Portland Trailblazers at home in Staples. We were losing by 15 at the beginning of the fourth. Came back. Kobe Bryant came through like a bat out of bat out of hell, so to speak, and helped bring us back and tipped it off by lobbing it to Shaq. And he knew exactly what he was doing. No pick and roll needed. Purity. Now, there's this guy named Omar. There's this guy on Instagram. He's probably on other things too. His name's Omar. And he did a video where he does this thing called Hot Take, right? And so, like, you send him hot takes and then he proves why they're actually right or they're actually wrong. And this one was on Kobe Bryant's passing. And I thought it was interesting. So let's listen to what he had to say. And then I'll come back and give my thoughts on it.
My hot take is Kobe Bryant wasn't a ball hog.
You've been lied to about Kobe Bryant. People love to say Kobe didn't pass, but the numbers say otherwise, and it's wild. When you look it up, he actually averaged 4.7 assists per game and retired with over 6,300 total assists. That's more than Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade, two guys who nobody ever calls selfish. Among shooting guards in NBA history, Kobe ranks top 5 all-time in assists, and it's not like he was just kicking it out for stat padding. Watch his tape. Kobe read double teams and fed Shaq, Gasol, and Derek Fisher for easy buckets. In 2013, when he was 34 years old, he averaged 6 assists per game, the highest of his career, literally transforming into the Lakers' point guard just to keep them afloat. Kobe was a high-usage primary scorer. He racked up assists not by running pick and rolls, he did it by drawing double teams, collapsing defenses, and kicking it out to open teammates. I rate this as a fair hot take. I think when people think of Kobe Bryant, they do think of some moments in the clutch where he shoots over 3 guys and misses the shot, and they call him a ball hog. But when you look at the overall picture, he did a lot more passing than people gave him credit for. If you have a hot take you want me to defend, message me on Instagram.
So that was this guy Omar, and I thought he did a good job. That was actually pretty solid. That's why I used his analysis, and I will just piggyback off of it. He mentioned that Kobe Bryant averaged 4.7 assists per game, which is facts. Has over 6,300 dimes in his career, which is facts. More than Mike, more than Wade. And that is something that he said that was interesting. Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade were never criticized for not being great passers. Only Kobe was. And it just goes to show you, for whatever reason, there are certain things that when it comes to Kobe Bryant, people like to sit on because they're haters. I'm sorry. You're just a hater. He averaged more than Mike. He averaged more than Wade. But he's the ball hog. He obviously could pass, but it's just a narrative that's used against Kobe Bryant to try and take away from him. Mike wasn't passing like that either, for the most part. He wasn't. Could he? Yes. Mike showed at times he could pass. But that wasn't his primary thing. His primary thing was to go out there and kill you, scoring-wise. Getting off a bunch of passes is the only person I ever seen win a championship off that and be demoralizing at the same time was Magic Johnson. He was on another level. But most people, unless you're a unicorn like that, you need to be able to score the ball in tough moments. And that's what Kobe focused on. You know what I mean? He's like he's like top 5 amongst shooting guards in passes and assists all time. So obviously he was passing the ball. The guy also mentioned that Kobe didn't just run pick and roll 30 million times. Everybody runs pick and roll all day in today's NBA. So yes, Luka, LeBron, Russ, Joker, all of them be getting all these assists off pick and roll. A lot of times their assists are easy, really easy, because somebody's getting wide open in today's game with the spread 3 and everything. Kobe did it at a time when you weren't running mad pick and rolls like that if you weren't a point guard. So he was doing it off just being great, drawing double teams, collapsing the defense. So if he could do it that way, then it's funny, in 2014, where he had his career high, he was averaging 6 assists per game, as Omar mentioned, he was running a lot more pick and roll at that point because the NBA was kind of going in that direction. So he did it more. And then also he had to kind of play like a point guard. That was the year Steve Nash was supposed to be on our team, but he was hurt. He never really played. And so Kobe did whatever it took to get us in the playoffs. And unfortunately, he tore his Achilles at the end of that. But he was running pick and roll, averaging 6 assists per game. Also averaging like 27 or 28 points per game and like 7 or 8 rebounds at the time. So was he doing anything that a lot of these other guys are, all these other guys are doing that stuff nowadays, just running a pick and roll in an easier era. Kobe was already showing you, like, hey, if I had to play this way my whole career, yeah, I would have been averaging 6 or 7 assists too. So when people say stuff like, oh, I'm going to use LeBron, if you don't like it, it is what it is. LeBron averages like, 7 assists per game in his career? Let's find out. Let's double check that. How many assists per game does LeBron James average in his career?
LeBron James averages 27 points per game throughout his career, based on all regular season games played.
No, that's not what I asked. How many assists per game has LeBron James averaged in his career? 7. LeBron averaged 7. Kobe's high is 6. Now, he didn't average it. LeBron averaged 7. But at the end of the day, if LeBron is running that same pick and roll that Kobe started doing his whole career, that's why he's got all these assists. What if Kobe was doing that the whole time? What if Mike was doing that the whole time? What if Wade did run a lot of pick and roll and still didn't have as many assists as Kobe, which is interesting. But he also got hurt, and so maybe his career wasn't as long. I have to look into it. But that's my point. Kobe was a good passer. He could have averaged more, but he's also a shooting guard. What is the point of being a shooting guard if you're passing? That's what a point guard does. Most of the NBA history has been position basketball. Now they're doing this positionless thing, which I don't know how I feel about it overall. But at the end of the day, he was a shooting guard. Shooting guards shoot. Shooting guards are supposed to be the best shooters on the team. Shooting guards are supposed to be the best shooting people on the team. So you got to be good at shooting. That's what he did, and he could pass. And then the last thing he said that I just want to jump on real quick. He said, "Oh well, sometimes people think Kobe Bryant's a ball hog because he shoots over 3 people." Listen, man. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna say it till I get tired, till I'm not here no more. I'm gonna say it. At the end of the day, some of the shots Kobe Bryant took were not the greatest. Fine. But he also won 5 championships. And what that tells me is he was fearless. In his mind, either I'm going to shoot and make this, or there's a good chance we lose this. And maybe my teammates aren't playing well this game. Maybe nobody else has the confidence. Here I am, send me. Right? In the words of Jesus Christ, here I am, send me. Right? Actually, I don't know if Jesus Christ said that. I think he did, but I'm not sure. I'd have to research that. I don't want to lie to you, especially not in Jesus' name. But he was willing to take that, man. So it is what it is. If Kobe Bryant, if his goal was to shoot a high percentage and be what these guys are now, he could have did that. But that's not what winning basketball is. Winning is doing whatever it takes to win. If that means me shooting over 17 people to win this game, that's what we gonna do. People sitting out here worried about their field goal percentage all the time. Win the game. If you got a good shot, if you feel like you can make it earlier in this pot, earlier in another section or another video, I was talking about like with Kiyan Anthony saying that, hey, I could miss that shot, I can make it, but I practice it all the time. And it's a good shot, so I'm comfortable with making it or missing it because I've already practiced it. And that's what Kobe was. When you practice shooting like that, nobody I've ever seen has been better at getting off a shot in a tough situation than Kobe Bryant. Michael Jordan was good at one-on-one isolation getting off a shot, but they weren't throwing doubles at Mike the same way they were throwing them at Kobe Bryant. In fact, there's a stat, there's a graphic, and I don't think I did a video on it yet, but I got to find it, and it shows the amount of time Kobe was double-teamed, Mike was double-teamed, and LeBron's been double-teamed. LeBron's been double-teamed far less than Mike and Kobe, but Kobe's been doubled way more than Mike. So in his era, you had to find a way to get those shots off, and he did. So if it meant shooting over 3 people, whoop-dee-doo. Whoop-dee-whoop-dee-whoop-dee-doo. Is what it is. Is what it is, man. Let that boy Kobe be great. And speaking of Kobe, we're going to jump into another Kobe topic right now because we haven't had enough Kobe lately, I guess. So Kobe Bryant, well, Lamar Odom recently was talking about Kobe Bryant again, and I always like to hear things from Lamar Odom talking about Kobe because they were close. He had a lot of respect for Kobe, and it's just something that I like to hear. And I don't actually think this podcast happened. Actually, it looks like it happened 2 years ago, but I just recently caught wind of it, and some guy named Bootleg Kev got a lot of subscribers. 487,000. My boy ballin'. Way ahead of me. I should have started 2 years ago, I guess. And on this podcast, one of the clips, Lamar Odom basically said, like, Kobe Bryant's 81-point game was basic. And at first, you know, some people might be like, what? Like, how do you have 81 points and be basic? But let me let Lamar Odom tell you, and then I'm going to come back and break down exactly what he's saying.
Yo, how crazy? Take me to the 82-point game Kobe night. You were there.
81.
Or 81. Why did I say 80? Oh, 82 is the amount of games that get played.
Yeah.
The 81-point game, though, against the Raptors, where he was just, a legendary night, man. What was that
There's
like?
a reason why that coach is not coaching anymore.
Who was the coach?
Sam Mitchell.
Oh, yeah. He's former Timberwolf back in the day.
Because the whole time I'm like, yo, double team him. I want to play. He didn't even change the defense. He didn't make no adjustment. No zone.
Right.
You just don't sit there and just let him just torch your team.
It's pretty crazy. That Jalen Rose forever will be known as, an amazing guy, but also the guy who was guarding Kobe most of that game.
Gave him, and we was down 25 that game.
Really?
You know what's crazy about that game? Like, I done seen Kobe like hit some like incredible shots, shit that you can't imagine, and it was just like basic Kobe.
In that game,
just will.
Yeah.
Just basic. Everything was like, mostly 2 foot. Wasn't no one leg runners. You know, a couple of fadeaways here and there, but it was just basic basketball if you think about him.
Lamar Odom saying Kobe Bryant was basic. Excuse me. That actually, at first, when I first heard that, I was like, wait, what? Kobe basic? But when you listen to it in context, he's right, actually. If you ever take a look back at that 81-point game, I really don't think anything about that game was overly special. It was just Kobe Bryant doing work. And he didn't have any crazy dunks. He didn't really have any insane highlights. He was just going to work, play after play, zoned in. Like he said, I believe they were down by 18. I didn't know it was 25, but apparently at one point, according to Odom, they were down by 25 points. Kobe brought them all the way back, and I'm pretty sure they won by like 18 or something like that. And, you know, he mentioned it was just pure will, pure will, pure will. You know, Kobe was something different, man. And the scary part about his game is, truthfully, he could beat you just being basic. 1 dribble pull-up, 2 dribble pull-up, post fadeaway. You know, 1 dribble, no dribble pull-ups. Get a couple points on the fast break. Get to the free throw line. Up and unders. Spin move, up and unders. Spin move, up and under, fadeaway. Spin move, double pump fake, fadeaway. Spin move, step back, hesitation, crossover, fadeaway. Like, he just, what do you do? And some of them were as basic as can be. Now, he had a 60-point game in the Garden, I think it was. And that game looked like a video game. That was one of the games where he did that pump fake, spun in the opposite direction, inside spin, and shot the jumper, cash. And people were like, oh my gosh. I literally heard it. Somebody was like, oh my God. Like, it was nasty, man. Prime Bean was nasty. And it was basic. And that's what made Kobe dangerous, is that he could be basic, he could be flashy, he could be high flying, he could never leave the ground. And it didn't matter. So imagine guarding somebody like that. So Kobe is basic. New topic. Pablo Banchero. Ole! Yay! Yes. Yes, my friend. Yes. Pablo Banchero. I might have been a little racist. That's racist. Apologize if that was a little racist. Pablo Banchero. What am I going to say here? So, Pablo, to me, again, let me make sure if I was talking, I tried to speak like if I was speaking to them in their face, I could be honest. Here's the thing. Pablo Banchero is a much better basketball player than me, and that I'll ever be. He's a young player. He's still got a lot of room to grow. He's coming up. So, I from the standpoint of playing basketball at elite level, like him, no. I'm not doing that. Can't do that. Won't be able to do it. I'm not 6'10". You know what I mean? But what I will say to you guys is that he's a frustrating player for me, and I don't believe in him. And the reason why is because he has the size of Carmelo Anthony and LeBron, maybe even bigger. But he is not Carmelo Anthony or LeBron. And that, for me, is a problem. Because he's also not Kevin Durant. He's also not Giannis. So what are you? Melo is a smooth jump shooter, very physical, beat you up on the boards, beat you up on the block, get to the midi, became a really good three-point shooter as well. Offensive juggernaut, unstoppable on all levels of the basketball court, scoring-wise. Kevin Durant, monster sniper. They call him the Grim Reaper, Slim Reaper. He can shoot his behind off. Excellent shooter. One of the best shooters we've ever seen. And he's also 7 feet. Or dang near. Just great shooter. Also has handle. Crazy moves. LeBron, freight train. Locomotive. Running down your throat. Pause. At 1,000,000 miles an hour, there's not a lot you can do. He's a freight train. Get out the way. Move, chick. Get out the way. That's LeBron James. But what is Pablo Banchero? Can't drive like LeBron. Doesn't think like LeBron. That's nothing. LeBron's a tough thinker. Knows how to run a team. Can't think like LeBron. Don't have the athleticism of LeBron. Can't drive like LeBron. Can't shoot or beat people down like Melo does at all 3 levels of the court, or however many levels you want. Melo could give it to you. Doesn't seemingly have the toughness of a Melo. Can't shoot at all anywhere near the level of Kevin Durant. So what does that leave you? And I'm not the only person that feels like this. Pablo is the reason that the Magic struggle, because he really cannot shoot. So let's check out what some other people had to say about this, and not just me. Is it just me?
I hesitate to admit this. It reminds me of Josh Smith sometimes.
Oh my God.
And
I was not emotionally prepared for that.
I'm sorry to do this to you. He's made 5 of his 27 jump shots this year. And again, I'm not cherry picking. I love Paulo. He's an important person in the future of American basketball, for crying out loud. But last season, among the 62 most active jump shooters in the NBA, he ranked 60th in efficiency. He has a jump shooting problem, and he's the most active scorer on the team. It's that's their issue. Some of the more advanced stuff with him is not trending in the right direction at this key stage of his career. And this start to this season has just sort of certified or sort of cemented in my head the idea that he might not be getting better at this key phase of his career.
So the first thing you're going to note is that he compared him to Josh Smith. Now, while Josh Smith was a good player, he struggled mightily to really figure it out completely on the basketball court, in my opinion. Sometimes he could shoot threes, sometimes he could shoot mid-range, crazy athletic, very good defender, didn't really know how to pass, wasn't sure if he was a power forward or a small forward. And so with Josh Smith, uber freak of nature athletically and very good defender, that kept him on the court. But as far as like a feel for the game of basketball, I would never say that he had like the best feel for the game of basketball. I like Josh Smith though. But Josh Smith level is not necessarily the level that you want somebody like Pablo Banchero to be on. And he's the best player on that team. Josh Smith was never the best player on most of his teams. Maybe number 2 or 3, but never really the best. He can't be the best player on your team. He couldn't be. And it's not because he wasn't good. He didn't have a feel for the game like that. I don't know if he even ever averaged 20 points per game. I don't know what Pablo Banchero averages right now. Let me just take a look. How many points per game does Pablo Banchero average?
Banchero averages 25.9.
So he's averaging basically 25.9, which is 26 points per game. But this guy pointed out, amongst active jump shooters, there's 62. He's 60th. That's not good. And he also said he may not actually be getting better. Now, I'm not an advanced metrics person. If you win, you win. I care more about winning and what it looks like on the court. But he doesn't look good on the basketball court to me. Again, it may be his jump shooting, like this guy's saying, because he just can't make shots. He can't find consistent offense. He's not a good enough post-up player to be 6'10 and like 250. Like, his post game is meh at best. And that's the scary part is, though, that this guy must be somebody that watches him more often than I do, and I don't think he's getting better. Now, I have friends and people look at the numbers and be like, oh, he's good, he's this, he's that. And numbers-wise, in today's NBA, everybody looks better than they would have 20 years ago. If you're good at all, you're going to look way better than you would have 20 years ago, in my opinion. Banchero wouldn't have been able to score on a guy like Josh Smith when Josh Smith played. Josh Smith would have been better in this era. There's nobody at the rim stopping him. If he would have developed some type of decent post-up game, who's stopping Josh Smith now? Consistently. On every team. Now, I'm not saying this again to say Pablo's bad or he's not a good player at all. But something's definitely missing. And I personally don't enjoy watching him play. I don't matter that much, I guess, but I don't like watching him play. Everything seems like a drag-out fist fight with the Magic. He's not a go-to scorer. He doesn't seem... There's times when it just seems like he doesn't know what is going on out there on offense. He's not a great defender either. For 6'10", I don't see him blocking no shots. There's one other clip I want to listen to, and I'll get my final analysis of that, and then we'll move forward. Let's just listen to somebody else, what they had to say about Pablo.
I would not want to build around Paulo Banchero because he's an okay passer, not a great one, and he is an atrocious shooter with bad shot selection. On top of that, he holds the ball for so long. Kevin Durant gets to hold the ball for a long time. He's so efficient, it makes sense. When you slow your possession down for Paulo every single time, I just think it makes it so difficult for you to build a team around. Unfortunately, this might be a flawed roster, and they never get over the hump with this group.
I think Banchero has all the talent in the world, but he just has some missing pieces between the ears when it comes to reading the floor with his decision-making. If I'm the Magic, I'm not saying I'm going to shop Paulo Banchero, but at the same time, Adam, I do have major questions if I'm looking in the mirror at my team.
Yeah, I have some major questions too. And I'm sorry, I said Pablo. It's Paulo. My bad. But yeah, I feel the same way. I don't think he's a great passer. I think he holds the ball a lot, but he's not Melo. He's not Melo. He's not LeBron. He's not Kevin Durant. He's not really good in the post. His shot selection is not good because it doesn't look like he's a natural basketball player, in my opinion. It looks like he trains, he understands the game, he knows what he's doing to an extent. He doesn't have particularly long arms to be that tall, which I think is a problem. Specifically on defense. Like, I don't see him blocking any shots. He's like 6'10", 6'11". I don't think he's particularly fast. He's nowhere near as quick as Melo or LeBron. He's not as fast as Durant. He may be LeBron and Melo's size, but he's nowhere near as quick as them. So, I don't know. Everything these guys said, I agree with. Can he improve? Can he figure it out? I do think so, but I think he needs somebody to really coach him on what he needs to do to be a great player. Because when I watch it now, they're saying he's averaging 26 a game, but anybody could do that now. It doesn't look smooth. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look like it's flowing. He looks like somebody that was raised playing basketball but never was really taught how to play basketball. When to make this move, when to make that move. It just doesn't look like he has a feel for the game. LeBron, for example, one of the things that's great about LeBron James is he has a great feel for the game. He does know how to flow within stuff. You got to give him that. And as far as offense is concerned, Melo's whole offensive package is a flow. His whole thing is a bar. Kevin Durant is another one that, you could put him in. He does fit in anywhere. He just is smooth. Paulo, something's off. Doesn't look right. So, what do you guys think? I'm not a fan. I tell people this, and they what is it? Why does he have to be them? But I'm like, he's not Melo. He ain't Bron. And I don't know what that makes him for me. I don't know if he can be your number one on a championship team. To me, Franz Wagner is better than him. I more appreciate Franz's game than Paulo's. But what do you guys think? You think I'm tripping? Hit up the comment section. Make sure you let me know. I will reply. Ball is life. You know how that goes. In fact, just do a quick little promo here again. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we're going to move on. We're going to move on to something Kevin Durant said. And Kevin Durant is at it again, basically trying to play woe is me, asking for us to somewhat, he's another one to me. My issue is stop running from the grind, man. You can't make the decisions that you've made and do some of the soft things that you've done and then come back and try to change the narrative. Well, it's not really like this. Well, there's more to it than that. Well, blah, 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 blah. Nah, man. Nah, bro. You decided to make some of these decisions that you decided to make. You got to deal with it. You got to suck it up and just deal with it. It is what it is. So let's hear what he had to say, because he's sitting up here like, oh, I don't need a championship without Steph. All right. Bet. Let's listen to him.
I look back at like Kobe, like he had this chip on his shoulder where I gotta win one without Shaq. Do you have that type of chip on your shoulder to win one without Steph, without Golden State, with all the narratives that are out there? I know you don't care about it, but is there a part of you that has that like?
No, I can see. I'm not gonna be realistic. If it was if I went out there for the Warriors and wasn't the Finals MVP like Kobe was with Shaq, and had moments where I didn't average 30 a game or get 7, 8 assists or have 40 and hit big shots, then I would say, yeah, all right, I need to prove that I can do that on that level. But I've done that on that level, so I never looked at myself as like I never looked at Steph like Shaq and me as Kobe. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like we were our own new thing. He proved that he could play on that level, and I proved that I could play on that level at the same time. And I think that time with me and Golden State should just be wrapped up and looked at it as such. It should be no more residual from like, could you do this? Or your legacy is this because of that. And if you play a different way, it might change how that time was viewed. I'm just like, I don't want that time to be changed. I want you to appreciate what that's worth, and we done moved on from here. So. But as a fan of the game and somebody who talks the game and has that barbershop talk, yeah, if I didn't play on that level in those moments and I didn't create those moments for that team, then yeah, you could say that I want to prove that I can win without them. But I was a Finals MVP, averaging 35 a night. Like, that don't make no sense to me.
So herein lies the problem with people like Kevin Durant, man. You want to make these soft decisions. You want to do whatever it is that you want to do, and you don't want nobody to talk about it. Well, sir, it does not work that way. Bruh. Yeah, you averaged 30, hit some big shots, played better defense at that time. You were on a high level. We got it. But no, we're not wrapping it up as such and leaving it for that time period. We haven't moved on and decided that, oh yeah, because you created those moments, you're free from this question. Nah, B. Nah. It's easier to do those things when you're playing with somebody like Steph Curry. But more importantly, Steph Curry, who managed to make his team win 73 games the year before. Then they beat you by coming back from a 3-1 deficit. All you had to do was be the same man that you said you were on the Warriors. Why couldn't you be that man against the Warriors? Is it because, Steph? So with Russ, who also is a great player, you couldn't get it done. You had them on the ropes. They were done, dead to rights. You had them. They came back, beat y'all from a 3-1 deficit. Klay Thompson went nuts. You couldn't guard him. Curry went nuts. You couldn't guard him. Lost. Game 7. They did to you the unthinkable. Then you turned around. Well, they got turned around, and LeBron and Kyrie did it back to them. And then you left your team that had them, that should have dead to rights them, and then ran to them. And now you're talking about I've already shown I could do it. Nah, well, why didn't you do it the year before? You should have beat him then. I averaged 35. I was the MVP. 40-point games, leading the team. Blah, 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 blah. Good for you. Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it before, bro? What changed? What changed? So yeah, nah. You do got to do it without Steph. Because it seems like without Steph, you folded. And ever since you left Steph, you've been folding. You've done nothing. You've won nothing. You've gone nowhere. Even a little bit of credit you could have maybe garnered. You went to the Suns, you had Devin Booker, didn't even make the playoffs. But you want to talk about well, I've already shown. What you've shown is that when that little light-skinned, dang near clear gentleman who is one of the best players of all time, is on your team, who is arguably now, it should be a top 10 player in Stephen Curry, still trying to figure out how to work him into mine somewhere. When he's on your team, yeah, you average 35 in the finals. You hit big shots. But when he's not, you lose 3-1 deficits. You don't make the playoffs with a player like Devin Booker, who's currently averaging 28 points per game on your team. But you know what? I don't know about y'all. You can hit me up in the comment section. Do you think I'm overreacting? Do you think he deserves to we should just let it go and recognize that he doesn't need Steph. He's his own flower. He's his own flower in the earth. Or let me leave you with this little bit from Kobe being Bryant. And then you tell me if there's a difference there.
Here's the thing. When I was playing, I would get chastised a lot for being selfish, saying we just got to fit into a team. It's about winning championships.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I get it. I'm doing it. Yeah. Right? Won 3 straight. Okay, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also knew that when my career is over, they're going to chastise me for the same thing.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, well, you're only great because you played with Shaq. And I'm like, whoa, hold up. You can't have it both ways, bro. So it was important for me and Shaq to go separate ways.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want people to use that again. They still do, but it was important that I win championships without him, and you get a glimpse of what I could have done individually had I not played with him. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was a big driving factor. It was like, hold on, don't get it up now. Like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I'm playing with Shaq. I mean, it's like, take Mike, put him with Wilt.
Yeah.
I mean, Shaq was a force of nature, right? So you got to kind of take a backseat.
You got to take a backseat.
That's Kobe Bryant speaking about his relationship with Shaq and having to be away from Shaq, having to win without Shaq. Look, man, that's really the difference here, okay? That's really the big difference that we need to keep in mind. Kobe knew that without Shaq, there was going to be things that were going to be said. But at the end of the day, he had to prove to other people what he already knew, which is that Shaq was my partner in crime. We terrorized the league. We won these championships. But don't get it twisted. Without Shaq, there's still Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant is still dominant. You understand? So instead of running around and trying to be like, oh, well, look what I did. Just wrap that moment up and leave those 3-peats there. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Nah. Kobe was like, yo, like, I know, I knew what was coming, and I was going to make sure that by the time my career was over and it was at its end, that you knew, man, this guy was an animal, with or without Shaq. That wasn't going to be a discussion no more. So my advice to Kevin Durant, instead of trying to take the easy way out like you've been doing your whole career, running around trying to be with superstars, joining a 73-win team, joining Steph, one of the best players ever. Steph is your Shaq. Instead of running around complaining about it, prove them wrong. You don't get to write your own narratives. Be the baddest man on the planet when they told you couldn't, and then they can't say anything. But you sitting up here trying to read us nursery rhymes about your 30 points, your 35 point, your big shots. Whoop-dee, 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 do. Whoop-dee, 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 do. No one cares about you. That's not true. People care about you, man. But what I'm saying is nobody cares about what you're talking about with that. People that are real serious about and principled about things, we're going to hold you to a standard, bro. You're too good to not be held to a standard, honestly. The people you care about, you hold them to a standard. And for me, KD, I'm holding you to a standard. And I know many other people are too. You really want to solidify your greatness? Win a championship without Stephon Curry. Now, you ran all around the league trying to get to whatever you want to get to, and you're going to lose some notches on your belt for that, in my book. But I can give you a lot more credit than I'm already giving you if you found a way to win a ring without the clear one himself, Stephen Curry, the lightest light boy that you probably ever did see. The greatest shooter of all time. When without him, you get a little bit more credit, bro. Stop complaining, man. Ain't nobody. We saw you. We saw you go to Golden State, bro. After they won 73 games, we watched it. We watched you not make the playoffs with Devin Booker. You got to change our opinions. We don't, or just live your life not caring. But you care. That's why you be on Twitter or X or whatever it's called. And honestly, keep being on it. That's one thing I do like about you, bro. You say what you feel, so keep doing that. But just know, we didn't forget. We know about those other things. So you got to prove yourself, unless you just don't care. Hey, yo. So, A.J. Brown, Philadelphia Eagles. I'm a big-time Philadelphia Eagles fan. A.J. Brown has been dealing with the media for a couple of years now. Everything he says, two things to be true at the same time. One is the media overreacts to everything he says. But the second thing is, if you know that, maybe you shouldn't talk to the media so much. But ahead of this Detroit Lions game in which the Eagles were victorious 16-9, he was talking, and I'm not even going to say complaining. Some people just say he's just complaining. I don't think it's just complaints. I think there's some truth to what he's saying. He has problems with the offense. He does not like the offense, and he wants to contribute more. So in this particular game, I'm pretty sure the Eagles targeted him for 11 times for how many yards? Let me just see. How many yards did A.J. Brown have against the Detroit Lions? 49. I thought it was like 50, but 49. So he had 49 yards. He was targeted 11 times. He had 7 catches for 49 yards. Now, the wind was a problem. Jalen Hurts was not unbelievably accurate. We had guys drop more than 5 passes last night. So it was a crazy thing going on. I don't know. But prior to that, I caught this guy that was talking about A.J. Brown and how A.J. Brown has been talking. Let me just play that, and then we'll analyze that and give our final thoughts on how we feel about all this talking from A.J. Brown.
What he's saying is Kevin Patullo sucks. What he's doing is not working. And I need the ball because I'm a top 5, top 6 wide receiver in football right now. I am great. A.J. Brown is great. A.J. Brown is not a good wide receiver. He is a great wide receiver. He is a leader in that locker room who is calling his teammates to a higher standard. This ain't going to work in January and December. This shit ain't going to fly. We can't put up 10 points against Detroit, who's coming here next week. It ain't going to work. And he is right. He is 100% right. Feed this man the ball. One of the stats that pissed me off the most, snaps in the slot, 11.2%. Lowest since his rookie season. Throw this man in the slot and give him a 5-yard slant. He's huge. He's huge and strong. You need to force feed him the ball. This offense that's going on, 10 points, fucking 0-0 at halftime. 23rd in offensive yards in the NFL. But also the problem is the offensive coordinator turns over every year. How are you supposed to develop some consistency when you have a new offensive coordinator every season over and over? And Jalen's got to learn a new offense, and the wide receiver's got to learn offense, and there's not no more motion in the offense anymore. It's so much change, and yet you want to still put the same product out. I'm on Team AJ. Feed the man the ball.
Yeah, so that's an Eagles fan. I think he sounds like most of us. You ever seen that Barack Obama skit on Key and Peele where one of them would be Barack? Which one's Key and which one's Peele? Peele is the Jordan. Yeah, Jordan Peele is the this is gonna sound sus, but the thicker one, and the skinnier one is Keegan Michael Key or whatever. And Jordan would be Barack Obama, and he'd be like, well, you just can't do that. And then Key would be his background person and be like, God dang it! Like, you know, he'd be like the one screaming and going nuts, and he's like Barack's translator. And that's how I feel like this guy was for A.J. Brown and also a lot of Eagles fans. Look, we can sit here and be upset with A.J. Brown. We can hate on him. And, again, two things can be true. He does need to calm down and stop talking to the media. You know, keep it in-house, my good brother. But he's also not wrong. Kevin Patullo is trash, in my opinion. He's a terrible offensive coordinator. The Eagles don't look like they know what they're doing at all on offense. He doesn't look like he knows when to call what to call, none of it. AJ hasn't been in the slot. AJ hasn't really been getting separation either, in my opinion, and that might be due to the routes that are being called. I have not liked anything that I've really seen from the Eagles on offense. It just hasn't, and to me, it's the play calling. It just looks like we never know what to call. It just looks bad. And you got two people in the same spot. We keep running hook routes. I don't know who came up with the idea of hook routes. The other night, last night against Detroit, Jahan Dotson caught a really good deep pass, and but it was a hook first, and then Jalen had to run out the pocket, so he ran deep, and Jalen found him deep. So, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, the initial pass, and he wasn't open on the initial pass, so, like, they knew the route we were going to run. And that really bothers me. I'm like, bro, like, that's disgusting. What are we running out there? And in this past game, like I said, AJ has 11 targets, 7 catches. He dropped 2, at least 2 or 3. And only 49 yards. And I'm like, bro, what are we doing? What are we doing out here? Smitty only had like 1 catch. I think it's Kevin Patullo, man. This brother pointed out that he's never in the slot, and it's the lowest in his career at 11.8. So you're just leaving him on one part of the field. You're not moving him around the field. You're not being creative. We don't have any motion in our offense. This guy's trash. And if I could fire him today, I would. He's trash. And it's a shame that we're wasting an offense. We're like 23rd in offense. It's just ridiculous. We should not be 23rd in offense. We change coordinators every year, like this guy said, and we didn't pick up a proven coordinator. Kellen Moore had us as one of the best offenses that you're going to see literally a year before. And even when the passing sometimes was like up and down, we didn't throw too many passes, Saquon was going nuts. Saquon has had one 100-yard game this year that I can remember. He only had 85 on 26 carries against Detroit. What? Golly, man. It's just been a headache on offense. So, at the end of the day, AJ, stop talking to the media. That's only going to make it worse. The real Philly fans, we like you. We appreciate you. Like the brother said, you're great. Don't worry about the media. But also, fire Kevin Patullo. God dang, man. He's trash. He's trash. Garbage. 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 Speaking of garbage, Draymond Green. Draymond Green, in my opinion, is one of those things that's like... he's good, but I also hate to admit that he's good, if that makes sense, because he drives me nuts. He drives everybody nuts, unless he's on your team. I think he even drives Steve Kerr and Steph Curry nuts, honestly. But recently he came out and he had some criticism for Kuminga. He said some things about Jonathan Kuminga about, like, you know, playing through things and not worrying about how things look for you, worry about the team, some stuff like that. And on Gil's Arena, they're like, whoa, hold on a second. You're talking to me about not playing hard or valuing the team or taking advantage of my opportunities better so that we can win. And you are averaging 5, 5, and 5 as a starter with more than 30 minutes a game? Nah. Sounds hypocritical. So let's listen to what the our partners on Gil's Arena had to say.
Is Draymond Green a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Do we have expectations for his performances?
No.
So it's okay for him to play 30 minutes, get 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists?
Foul out.
Yep.
1 for 10.
Okay.
1 for 10 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3.
And then it's okay for him to blame other guys for not showing up. So I don't think those other guys feel the same way.
I mean, if I'm Kuminga, then say something.
How can he?
You put me in the doghouse, I ain't doing that, and now you talk about me? Yeah, well, you.
I just seen the interview of my coach and Etan Thomas complaining about general manager telling me that Gilbert needs to focus on offense. He doesn't need to use his energy on defense. That's what you guys are for. And they got mad at that. I have a job to do, right?
Yes.
I get paid for this job,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I do this job very well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You got a job to do, right?
Okay.
Are you doing your job? When I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you ain't doing your job.
And what is that?
15-6, don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, all the things that I'm doing well, I'm doing.
But that's your job. Pazinski, your job is to goddamn it do this. You ain't doing this.
But we're not talking about, I'm talking about.
My 5-5-5, I'm doing that. Clotheslining somebody, I'm doing that.
I played with a prolific scorer as well. And I wish a mother would have came in here and said, let that man just focus on offense.
So that's the take on Gil's Arena, and I really enjoyed this take because it's like, listen, at first they're like, yo, Draymond's averaging like 5, 5, and 5, but he's expected to potentially be a Hall of Famer. What's the expectations on his performance? And there are none, which is crazy to begin with. And when I say Draymond is good, as I said before, I think he's good on defense. As a player, I don't think he's really that good. He's not, man. He's really good on defense. I'll give him that. He can communicate well. He knows how to move the ball well. But I never looked at him and said, man, that's like a player you want on your team. I really feel like on any other team without the light skin man, according to Shumpert calls Steph Curry the light skin man. There is no Draymond Green, man. You can't put him on the floor unless you got the greatest shooter of all time with him, and some other really good shooters, and Buddy Hield and Pajimski and Moody, and this new guy Richard is pretty good. Nick Richard or whatever his name is, he could shoot too. Unless you got all these shooters around him, he's unplayable. But they're like, yeah, so what's the expectation on him? So then Gilbert gives this whole story about how Etan Thomas and somebody else, and Eddie Curry, his coach at the time when he was on the Wizards, was like, yo, Gil's not playing no defense. And his GM was like, well, I pay him to focus on offense. He's prolific on offense. You know, you guys are here to play the defense and figure the rest of that out. And then Kenyon's like, whoa, I play with prolific scorers too. I wish a mother would walk up to me, I wish a mug would walk up to me and say, let's just let him focus on offense. I'm going to agree with Kenyon. And I think Draymond Green is a hypocrite. Because at the end of the day, everybody is supposed to get better every day on everything. You cannot win a basketball game without being good on offense and defense. Now, you can be better at one or the other, but you got to put effort on both. You got to practice on both. You got to know where your shots are coming from and be successful on those certain shots. You got to know what's going to happen to you on defense, what type of actions the other team's going to put you in, and you got to become better. You got to become a better ISO defender. You got to become better in the passing lanes. You got to practice all around. You don't get to just focus on one side of the court and one side only. In basketball, this is not football. And even then, if you don't know how to make a tackle and they get an interception, what do we do now? So you got to know some of the other side, even in football. And you never play the other side, really. So I'm with Kenyon Martin. I'm with Rashad. You can't be walking around telling other people what they should and shouldn't be doing all the time. And the loudest ninja in the room. And you yourself are averaging barely 5, 5, and 5. You can't make a jump shot. You can't buy a bucket. You can't find offensive possession. But you're going to sit up here and tell everybody else what they should be doing all the time? And how they're slowing up the offense? When you have no offense? In the words of Kenyon Martin, and I love this, I wish someone would have said, let him just focus on offense. I wish a mug would. My response would have been the same. I'm out here busting my tail to do both sides of the ball. You only got to do one? Nah, get out of here, bro. We're not doing that. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Draymond should only be allowed to focus on one side of the ball and criticize people on the other one when he's not playing an all-around game? Or do you think there's literally some hypocrisy to that? When you can shell out 5, 5, and 5 and nobody says nothing, but I make 1 or 2 mistakes and I'm way more accurate you are and I'm giving it my best, and maybe I just need to step it up a little bit, but for you to come down crashing the world down on me when you're averaging a blistering 5, 5, and 5, get the freak out of here, man. No. So what do you think? Am I crazy? Is Kenyon Martin and Rashad crazy? Or is Gil the angel in this situation and we're taking away his blessings? Are we taking away from the mystique and the aura of Draymond Green and whatever his process is? Y'all tell me in the comment section. So I was listening to Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce on that podcast that they have. And Kevin Garnett, he's going to say some wild stuff. Pierce is going to say some wild stuff. But he says something recently about, the LeBron James situation. LeBron may be coming back sometime this week or next week or something like that. And what he said is that basically LeBron is trying to hold the Lakers hostage, but he doesn't know if it's working. So let's listen to what Kevin Garnett had to say with Paul Pierce, and then we'll analyze, what they're saying about LeBron.
Everybody's been here. Guess what this feels like to me? Y'all don't want to get that deal done? All right, cool. Hey, Rich, hit the light on that shit. This is leverage, my dog. This is the GOAT telling everybody, or the greatest of his time, telling everybody, yeah, this is how we gonna run this. This feels like leverage. Yeah, I ain't
So
playing
you
no
saying he's
preseason,
not
I
hurt?
ain't playing Woo.
So you saying he's not hurt?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
That's what
LeBron.
I'm
I
saying.
can't
I'm
speak
saying
for
you
Bron.
said it sounded like leverage, like press the button. That
It
sounds
feels like leverage. I ain't saying if he not hurt or hurt. I ain't getting into that. I said this feels like leverage.
You love the game, though. You want to
Yeah,
play.
he love the game, want to play, but they ain't gonna do him any kind of way.
So that's Kevin Garnett speaking on the LeBron James sitting it out situation. And he didn't go as far, really, as to say straight up, like, yo, I think he's sitting out and he's not hurt. But he implied it. You know what I mean? He said he really can't speak on whether or not another man is truly hurt. But he's implied it, and he said, basically, like, he's like, so do you love the game? Paul Pierce is like, does he love the game? And he's like, yeah, maybe I love the game, but you're not going to treat me any type of way. And sometimes I think KG embellishes stuff, and I really feel like he embellished that. But at the end of the day, I have, I really do, as I'm a Laker fan, been a Laker fan, and I think LeBron James he's just playing games, man. If this was Kobe Bryant, and I apply everything to Kobe. You know why? Because as a Laker fan, I have the right to do that. You came to my team. You decided to try and, follow the legacy of, in my opinion, the greatest. Him and Mike. You want to say Mike? That's fine. My favorite player ever, the guy I'm rocking with, if I had a gym and I could pick whoever I want at any era in their primes, I'm picking Kobe. That's what I'm doing. And you're going to sit up here and tell me that if Kobe was in the same situation with his health for the most part, he was still alive, he's not playing with sciatica? Nah, it's not good enough for me. It's not good enough for me. You got to know where you came to, LeBron. You could have went anywhere else, but you chose here. You could have got away with this in some other places, but not here. Not in the house that Kobe Bean Bryant built. No, sir. Sciatica wasn't enough. A helicopter, ultimately, is the only thing that can stop Kobe. That's it. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but to me, that's the only thing that can stop that man. And that's just unfortunate of life, sadness of life. Something that bothers a lot of us to this day, that we wish we could have just said, hey man, don't get on that. But for the facts of it, that was the only thing that could stop that man. That was it. From doing whatever his goal was. And I say whatever his goal was because ultimately, yeah, his body broke down completely, and that's why he couldn't play ball no more. But I'm talking about whatever he put his mind to, the only thing that could truly stop him was that accident. You have your health, LeBron, for the most part. Last time we saw you, you was running and jumping fine. Now, all of a sudden, you can't do it no more. And the worst part is, it feels like he thought that he was going to sit out, they were going to suck, and he could come back and be a savior or something. It ain't working that way, man. You're making yourself look worse, because now a lot of us are like, yo, do we really even need this guy anymore? I don't even think we need him. Is he necessary? So, I tend to agree with the first thing that Kevin Garnett said. I think he's holding out trying to be funny. But it's going to backfire because we really don't need this dude, man. And it's becoming more and more obvious that we don't need him. He's not necessary to what we're building and what we're doing. It is now Luka land. I keep telling my friends I'm a part of the exciting whites now. I've been sending people white power fist. You know how you send a fist and it's a black one and you say black power? Well, I've been sending one that says white, that has a white man's hand. And I've been saying white power. That's how we're moving on Los Angeles. I'm sure that's probably racist. But that's how we moving over here in Los Angeles right now. Austin Reeves, Luka Dončić. We probably need a brother to solidify that somehow. Because I ain't seen that much milk win a championship since Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. But they still have Robert Parrish. You need one chocolate man to make this work. And it ain't gonna be LeBron. He's not gonna take no back seats. He's not gonna play no defense. He's not gonna get back in transition. We need a different chocolate person. So we can call it the exciting Oreos. Or exciting reverse Oreos. Or exciting cream Oreos. That's what we need. That's what we're doing in Los Angeles. So I 100% believe that this dude is milking it, trying to prove a point that ain't gonna be proven. He's out of here at the end of the year. I can't wait. I'm watching LeBron James fans crash out all across America and the world. They're falling apart. They can't handle it. I just keep telling them, bye, Felicia. He's on his way out. You better enjoy it. I had a dude arguing with me through ChatGPT. He used ChatGPT to win a debate about LeBron and sports with me. They're crashing out. My man's time is limited. He signed that extension. We got new management. We not budging. We just won with Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers. The city of Los Angeles. I say we. I'm not even from Los Angeles, but I'm a Laker. So to that extent, I respect the Dodgers. I don't really watch baseball like I used to. Used to like San Fran because of Barry Bonds and the Mets. He wasn't on the Mets, but I'm from the New York, New Jersey area, so I like the Mets. And everybody else like the Yankees. I can't do what everybody else does. So yeah, his time's limited. And somebody else said this, and this is something to keep in mind. LeBron may have one of the worst endings to a Hall of Fame career of a player of his status that we're ever going to see. And it's because of greed. His greed got too serious. He got his son drafted to the Lakers. And he started trying to make moves that just didn't make no sense. Wasn't even trying to hide it no more. And I think time has caught up to him and people are done. So I really don't think he's going to end the way he expected to. But who cares? Cry me a river. You did it to yourself. But I definitely think, like Kevin Garnett said, that he's trying to prove a point and he's sitting out and he's not really even that hurt. That's what I believe. Garnett didn't say it. I'm going to say it. I don't think he's really that hurt. We've seen him do other things where he's faked injuries. Why wouldn't he be doing it this time? So we'll leave it at that with that one. We'll just leave it right there. And so now it's about that time. We've come to our final topic of the day. And it's going to be the most exciting part of the show because it looks like we got a versus battle. So I'm going to cue that up and we'll see how this battle goes.
Kevin Durant versus Draymond Green. 1, 2, 3, go!
Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. This is a beef. This is a versus battle. We have Kevin Durant, who stays in some beef, versus Draymond Green, who also stays in some beef. These are two guys that don't mind talking. They're going to say something if they feel it. If they feel it, they're going to say it. You know how these two do. Now, currently, obviously, you know Kevin Durant is a monster when it comes to the offense, one of the best offensive players that we have ever seen play basketball. But then we also have Draymond Green, who I guess you could say is also one of the best defenders we've seen in basketball. Definitely the best defender we've seen in this era. However, they are currently beefing because they played on the same team. And honestly, one of them is like, yo, I don't care what you do. Anybody can slide their feet. That's what Kevin Durant said. Anybody can slide their feet. But who can put the ball in the basket? Draymond Green heard that and said, whoa. Hold on there, big dog. You got to play defense to win championships. Everybody that wins a championship plays some level of defense. And to that, they asked him, they said, well, he won a championship and he cares more about offense. Draymond said, where did he win that championship? Because last time I checked, I think he won it here. So, let's get to the verses. So, like you already heard, this is a versus battle. And when we do versus battles, we basically like to take two sides of an argument. We listen to both sides, then we come back at the end and we decide who won. And right now, like I said, we're talking about Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, both of whom are never shy to tell you exactly what they think. Now, Kevin Durant recently came out, like I said, and he's doing Kevin Durant stuff, right? The easy way out. He's always doing the easy way out. So before I'm not even going to tell you. You listen, and then we'll come back and briefly talk about what he said, and then we'll go on to what Draymond Green said.
You have to score baskets if you want to win a championship. Playing defense, we can get any one of y'all in here to bend your legs, not touch the basketball, slide left and right, and contest the shot. That's easy. But when we're talking about winning at a high level against the best of the best, you cannot just do that and win a basketball game. You have to make shots. And that's why I work on my game so much. So if you want to win, you got to make shots.
So that's what Kevin Durant said about winning basketball games. He said basically you can get anybody in here and they could just slide their feet and all of a sudden, you could play some defense. And I don't know about that, big dog. I don't know about that. But before we really break that down, let's jump into what Draymond Green had to say. And Draymond Green had to say two things in two parts, okay? And so let me pull that up, and we'll go from there. Where did it go? Hold on a second. Yep, here we go. So now you should see it on your screen as well if you don't already. It says, Draymond Green fires back at Kevin Durant's claim that offense wins championships. Draymond, those who don't believe defense is as valuable as it is, they simply just don't win. I don't think anyone's ever really been hell-bent on caring about the opinion of those that don't win, because your opinion equals zero. So I hear you, but Kevin has won. That's what the reporter said. Draymond said he won here, and the defense here was, the reporter finishes, it was incredible. Draymond, absolutely. All right? So that's how Draymond responded on that. And then Kevin Durant, if you look over at the next joint, was like, and the offense was also excellent. But now, let's listen to the actual clip of what Draymond said.
By the way, just so we're clear, there is no debate between me and KD. However, I love the way KD mix it up with people on Twitter. I love the way KD share all of his thoughts. And me and KD gonna always talk basketball, and we gonna bump our gums a little bit. And it ain't no different here. KD said something, I made a statement. KD took that as me saying something back to them. KD put out a tweet and he said, well, if I'm not mistaken, he said, and the offense was, ? And my response to KD is, number one, like I said, this ain't no beef. Ain't no beef between KD or Draymond, but we gonna talk our shit because that's what we both do and we both love to do it. And we would do this sitting together with each other and y'all don't see it. We'll do it and y'all do see it. Make no mistake about it, ain't no goddamn beef. Anyway, KD says, and the offense was, and he was saying and the offense was in regards, he was responding to me saying, teams that play defense win championships. I wasn't saying that teams that play offense or the teams that play defense doesn't play offense. No, the fact of the matter is you have to be top 10 offensively and top 10 defensively to win an NBA championship. That's just the facts of the matter. When KD say, and the offense was, well, the offense was incredible. Just like their offense was incredible in Brooklyn, and just like their offense was incredible in Phoenix. It was incredible. Great offense. Very tough to stop. But offense with no defense, we've seen that in NBA years past. We'll see that in the NBA for years to come. Offense, teams with offense and no defense. And so my point was, you show me a team that don't play defense, I'm gonna show you a team that don't win championships. My statement was, I mentioned, people that don't believe you need defense to win championships simply don't win. KD responded to me saying that, and what I'll say to K is, I said people that don't win championships. Kevin Durant has 2 championships. So I don't even know why he took my statement as a hit at him when I said people that don't win championships. You won 2 championships. So that shouldn't include you unless you feel that statement includes you. I personally don't, because I personally know, and I am personally aware, well aware, that you won 2 championships. So I don't live in that category. People that try to lessen KD's championships, because I know everything about KD's championships and how important he was. So I'm not a part of that group of people, but I think the proof speaks for itself. You know, you look at teams that has great defenses and great offenses, they win championships. Teams that have great defense and no great offense, they usually get to the playoffs and lose. Teams that have great offense and no defense, they usually get to the playoffs and lose or don't even make the playoffs at all. So, fact of the matter is, you need to be top 10 in both.
So Draymond Green feels that you need to be top 10 in both defense and offense. And as we've already said, Kevin Durant's like anybody could slide their feet, go out there and play defense. But you got to put the ball in the basket. Now, Draymond Green also mentioned that he wasn't necessarily talking about Kevin Durant, so he wasn't sure why he took it personally, or if he did take it personally. And he also mentioned that the Brooklyn Nets are really good on offense, no championship. Now, there's some context missing. But then he said teams that are really good on defense make the playoffs and then lose. And teams that are really good on offense, they score a lot of points, but they can't stop you to win a championship. So when you're listening, and he also said this is not a beef, but at the end of the day, these two have had some public spats before. Do I think they're going to come to blows right now? Absolutely not. But it is, whether they like it or not, it is a conflict of opinion. And it is a beef of opinion. It is a versus of opinion. And in this case, for me personally, I'm going to go with Draymond Green. I understand what Kevin Durant is saying, and I do think putting the ball in the basket is the hardest thing that you can do in basketball. I think it is the hardest thing to do, specifically at a high level. To be somebody that can do it at a high level is hard. It usually takes a lot of skill or some supreme athleticism that most people do not have. However, it's also the easiest thing to do. Because right now, especially in this era, a lot of people are not hanging their hat on defense. But historically, no team that I can remember usually wins when one side of the ball is really, really bad. So, yeah, Kevin Durant, you put the ball in the basket at an elite level. A lot of people can't do that. You're on another level. That is true. But every time you don't play defense and you let your man run down the court and get a layup or get an easy jump shot, where you got to maybe work a little harder because they're looking at you, and even though offense is easy for you, they're still going to come at you and try to slow you down. Whereas if you're on defense on the other end and you're just not playing your man tough enough and he scores, and then the next guy that you're playing scores, or they're attacking you on defense because they know attacking you on offense because they know your defense is trash, you can't win that way either. And I will say this, another reason why I think Draymond won this argument, I don't think he's just saying that you don't have to play any offense. I don't think he's saying that defense is the end-all be-all. He said you need to be top 10 in both. Kevin Durant is sitting up here focusing strongly on offense, but Draymond didn't say there's no offense needed. What he said is you got to be able to play some defense, but you should be top 10 in both. I hate to admit it when Draymond Green is right. It really drives me nuts because he annoys me, man. I'm going to be honest with y'all, but he's right in this instance. Draymond Green is half right, half wrong. I got to admit, most of the time. But in this instance, he's right. Kevin Durant is just like, oh, I'm a skilled offensive player. I'm so great on offense. I look so cute out there. Pause, no diddy. We got it. But at the end of the day, KD, that's why you don't win without Steph and them. You went to Brooklyn, no chip. There's some context missing, but no chip, regardless. You went to the Suns, and you had all these offensive players, and you couldn't pass the ball or play defense. You had no point guard. You had no defenders. And you didn't even make the playoffs. So KD, to me, has a lot of bad basketball takes overall. What I do like about him is that he's not afraid to talk to fans. I like that he's not afraid to have those conversations. I like that he is fairly transparent in how he feels and what he thinks. Those things I appreciate. He's obviously an elite basketball player. But his basketball takes, to me, and he respects the greats before him. I think he does a good job of respecting those before him overall. He said one pretty ridiculous thing about Michael Jordan that I didn't like on LeBron's podcast. But that was just two clowns hyping each other up and not thinking, in my opinion. But overall, I think that KD's biggest problem is that his basketball takes are off because he's trying to do something outside of the norm, and it doesn't work that way. You got to play defense to win championships. You just slide your feet. If it was such a joke, why did Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, the two greatest players I've ever seen, why did they care so much about it? Why did Hakeem Olajuwon, who's also one of the greatest players I've ever seen, care so much about it? And what makes you think that the sacrifices they made to play great defense and to be physical, what makes you think that they did that just for the heck of it and not because they saw it was absolutely necessary to dominate and win games? That's where you made your first mistake, sir. So we're going to give this battle to Draymond Green. Right? I wish I had like a bell. I need to look for a bell sound effect so I can go ding, 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 and your winner, Draymond Green. Because that's who won this one. Nice try, though, Kevin. Nice try. With that said, this has been a decently long podcast number 7. I truly appreciate you if you managed to listen this long. Check out throughout the course of the week and time, I will be making like snippets of this so that you can catch parts individually if you don't want to listen to the whole thing. But if you want to get it in one joint while you're at work or whatever else you're doing, you're fixing something, I don't know, you're riding your bike, you're working out, listen to the whole thing. I think it's pretty entertaining from start to finish. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell to all so you don't miss any of our fantastical content. Make sure you comment. I will reply. Ball is life. You know how that goes. Spark the debate. That's what we want to do. Have conversations. And hang on towards the end of this video for some other suggested videos that we know you will love. I truly appreciate you. Very appreciative. Can't even explain how appreciative I am to anybody that's, taking time to listen to my content. Very humble. Much love.
tell that somehow you'll never get over leaving